Hey friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we are going to prune roses. I am going to show you exactly how to prune your roses in your garden so that you get big, beautiful flowers this coming spring and summer. It is important for you to prune your roses because all roses, with the small exception of some old heirloom ramblers, they all bloom on new growth. So that means we want to encourage new growth every season, and the best way to do that is to give them a good prune. The time on the calendar wise, as far as when do you prune, is going to depend on where you live. I am in North Carolina, a zone 8A. Now is the time for me to prune my roses. In fact, I was looking at my calendars from years past, and I'm actually a couple of weeks behind. That is okay. There is grace in gardening, and roses will give you a lot of grace as far as when you prune them. Now, North Carolina, doing it right now. Anytime in mid-January, I would say through mid-February. Even if you go later, it's okay. You just may delay some of your flowers a little bit. If you are in warmer zones, my friends in Texas, you've probably already done this because you're going to be ahead of me. My friends in colder zones, Michigan, Maine, wherever you may be, Chicago, you're going to do this later than I am because you could be buried in snow right now. This is where being a student of your own garden is really important. You're going to take all the information that I'm going to give you today. You're going to do the exact same thing, but you're going to do it maybe at a different time on the calendar. So just keep that in mind. The roses that I'm going to prune today, they're all David Austin, but that really does not matter as far as pruning. Doesn't matter if you have David Austin, or if you have proven winners, if you have knockouts, you've got, whatever kind of rose it is, they bloom on new growth and we want to prune them back. Because of the age of the rose, it may depend a little bit on how you actually do it. The roses that I am pruning are going into their 4th year of being in the garden, so these are considered mature, established roses. We're going to remove any dead canes in there, any damaged canes that are broken, any diseased canes, we're going to take them out, and then of course any small weak canes that are on your rose. What we want to do is to have a rose when we are done to be nice and compact, that has a nice open habit to it. Right here this is my Emily Bronte. She is a gorgeous, beautiful rose that will reach in that, I think it's like 4 to 5 feet tall. I am going to prune her back pretty severe. The easiest way to start is with those D's, right? The dead, the damaged, and the diseased. A couple of things that you're going to need as far as tools. Of course, obviously, most important, you're going to need some great clippers, some pruners, some secateurs, whatever you want to call them. I personally use the Felco number 2 just because it fits in my hand, but whatever size pruners that you want to use those. Make sure they're nice and sharp. We're going to do a lot of cutting and we want a nice clean cut. That's why I love using my Felcos, because right before we started, I cleaned them and I sharpened them. Makes it super easy, and I'm going to get a nice, good, clean cut on my rose canes. So there you go on that. Next, of course, you're going to need somewhere to put your debris. I just have my little pop-up truck right here for my smaller pieces. My tall canes, I'm just going to throw on the ground. I've got Johnny right beside of me. I'm going to gather them all up and just toss them in there. I did not have these for the first probably year or 2 that I had roses. Makes a huge difference. These are what you call rose gauntlet gloves. This is particular manufacturer is Mud. These are goat skin. Oh my gosh, y'all, this will protect you from your rose thorns, because depending on your rose will depend on how thorny it may be. And these rose gauntlet gloves go almost all the way up to my elbow. If you really grab hard on them, then it can puncture through it. But as a general rule, you can easily pick these up, you can hold your canes, and it protects not only your skin, but also your clothing. So I definitely love wearing these. Huge game changer whenever I deal with my roses, and they're soft, they are not stiff, they're very pliable, and even in the summertime when I'm using them, they're not crazy hot. Have these available on the website, so in all different sizes. They're basically unisex, right? But you can go and check out that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you, I'm going to walk you through step by step on one rose, and then I'll just go ahead and do all the others, because basically what you do to the one rose, we do to all of them. And then if there's time, I'm also going to tackle my climbing rose, because she is a big, beautiful beast. What we're going to do is I'm going to try to wiggle myself in here and show you exactly how to do this. Of course, we got rain last night, so it's a little damp in here. So first, what we're going to do is, the easiest way is to look for your dead and broken canes. This is a perfect example because it is literally going out 90 degrees. Hi, Brenna, can you scoot, scoot, go play, go play. Good girl. It is at a 90 degree, and you can tell what is dead because it's going to be brown. My other canes are nice and green and pliable. So even though there is a live one coming off right here, I think what I'm going to do is we've got dead here because it's brown, and then we're going to come in. Now, depending on who you listen to, they will tell you that you need to cut at a certain degree, at a certain angle. I love the way that David Alston approaches their pruning information. Don't overthink this, y'all. Just get in there and get it done. You really cannot mess up a rose. Now, is there the perfect way to prune a rose? Yes, there is. Are we going to worry about that? No, we're not. I've got one big cane right here that only has one little small section that is alive. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the whole thing. Your really big, nice established canes, you're going to want to leave. But if you have like this cane right here, right? So that's a good size. But look, there was only one cane that was alive. Everything else was dead. So I'm going to get rid of that for sure. And then we've got here in the back, we've got more dead. So I am just going to go through. If it is dead, I am cutting it out, because that, for me, is the absolute easiest way to start. We're going to eliminate whatever it is that we can eliminate, and then I'm going to show you the next step. All of my dead and damaged stems have been taken out, my canes, stems. You can use them interchangeably. Yes, on a rose it's called a cane. What we're going to do next is we're going to take this sweet girl all the way back. We're going to take it back by at least half. So on an established rose, you can really get in there and prune it and keep it whatever size that you want. Optimally, what you're going to want to do is, I have already got some new growth popping out, some little buds, so I can see where my leaves and my stems are going to come from. You want optimally to cut right above one of those. And again, I'm going to be severe, and I am taking it back. So I'm coming in here and I am trimming it. Just getting in there, getting it done, and make it nice and tight. It's kind of like a haircut. You can always cut more off, but you can't you can't add any back. So if you want to be conservative when you first begin, not a problem whatsoever. You can do that, because just keep in mind that you can always come back and cut more. But what I want you to take away from this is, if you have a rose, you need to prune it. It's as simple as that. Also, as the season goes on, you can come in here and you can continue to shape it up as the season goes along. It certainly will not hurt it. It will keep it nice and tight and happy. But as we're cutting in here, if you see anything else, we're going to take those guys off as well. Overall, you want to keep it to be the same height overall. Some of your canes are going to be a lot more mature, and they are going to be a little tougher to cut. That is why we like having nice sharp pruners. You're going to come in here and just trim and trim. You optimally want your rose to have more of an open habit to it. So if you've got really some weak stems, some weak canes, you can get in there and you want to trim those out for sure. But it's pretty much as simple as that. I've got one right here that looks a little damaged and diseased. So we're gonna come in here. Sometimes you have to do a little gardening gymnastics with that. All right, there you go. And that's pretty much it. The only other thing I would say is if you have, once you've done your pruning and you have any foliage left, you want to go ahead and remove that. So I've got 2 little leaves right here. I'm just going to snip those off because you want to get rid of any foliage that's left over, because if you deal with black spot. Of course, here we are in North Carolina with the heat and the humidity in the summertime. Black spot is most definitely an issue for us, and so we want to make sure we want to prevent that and not carry it over from one season to the next. So you can do that. Come in here and you can remove any of the old debris and get rid of that as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We had a nice big huge rose and we took it down, and you can come back in, of course, if you're a little a continuous little picker like I am, and just bring it down. So just come in here, fiddle with it, and remember, Grace and gardening, roses are a whole lot tougher than we give them credit for. We think they are extremely fussy and high maintenance. They really are not. A little bit of know-how and knowledge will make a huge difference, and this Emily Bronte is going to be covered in her beautiful flowers before we know it. Now, I have got 4 more of the roses here on the patio to do. So I'm going to go ahead and knock those out. And then we're going to go ahead and, since this is going nice and fast, we're going to go ahead and attempt to get the Generous Gardener, who is a gorgeous climbing rose. We're going to get her pruned as well because, whoo-wee, wait till you see her. She's a big beast. Okay, my friends, so I have got the David Austin roses here on the patio. They have been pruned, and you know me, while I'm in a space, I'm just going to go ahead and get something else done. So I did go ahead and prune back my white chiffon rose of Sharon. I didn't tell you how to do this. I just went ahead and did it. You're going to prune a rose of Sharon exactly the same way that you're going to prune like your panicle hydrangeas. The white chiffon has been here since the patio was built. It was a large size. Gosh, I think it started out as a 3-gallon. Christine, sweet friend Christine, gave it to me, so I kind of dub it. It's a rose of Christine, but she gave it to me as a 3-gallon. The patio wasn't ready, so I went ahead and moved it up to a 7-gallon. Hung out there for a year or so, and then we planted it. So this is a very mature white chiffon rose of Sharon. Stunning. But your rose of Sharon can get really big. Probably, ideally, not the perfect place to put this right beside this David Austin. This particular one, this is Brother Codful, struggles a little bit because I think that the white chiffon blocks some of the sun. This is why I give it a very hard prune. I was pretty severe with it, and I try to keep, as it grows throughout the season, I keep this side cleaned up a little bit. There's a big limb right here that I probably could take out because it is crisscrossing and it's going more towards this way. I'm just not going to do that today. I try to keep it cleaned up from the bottom, almost like in a little bit of a standard form. So there you go. Roses, I did the same with these as I did with that very first one that I showed you. Little tip though, when you have such a very mature rose that's nice and big, you're wrestling the thorns, right? So what I did is went ahead and lobbed off the whole top. Wasn't precise or whatever. I basically just took all those long canes and cut them. So that way I'm not getting caught up in my hat and my hair and my clothes. And then I came back and I was more precise on the actual which ones I pruned back and the severity of it. So it's like get the big bulk of it off and then do your fine tuning in that. We're gonna go ahead and jump on the the climber. This is the Generous Gardener. I have 2 of them on a trellis, and it is a very aggressive, very vigorous grower, shall we say. But the blooms and the flowers are so incredibly worth it. So what we're gonna do is I gotta get a ladder because she's a tall one. Grab a ladder and maybe a little coat because the sun keeps going in and out. It's getting a little chilly for me. And yeah, I'll meet you over here at the arch and we'll get that one pruned as well. Welcome, my friends, to the big, beautiful beast known as the Generous Gardener. I have 2 of the exact same rose, Generous Gardener, David Alston. These are climbers, 1 on each side of this arch. I got the arch from Kinsman Garden Company. You can head over there, you can purchase it. They have a couple of different styles to choose from. I've been really happy with this one. This is, believe, year number 4 for the Generous Gardener. Again, when the patio was done, both of these were planted, and clearly is a very, very happy rose right here. Roses, full sun, right? And this one gets lots and lots of sun. The deal with your climbing roses, again, unless you have the old-timey heirloom roses, like these are like not the new hybridized roses, the old rambling roses, your roses are going to bloom on new growth, even if it is a climber. If you have a question and you know what kind of rose you have, use Professor Google. So you could say, when do I prune the Generous Gardener? Does the Generous Gardener bloom on new growth? Professor Google is going to help you out if you have questions. If it blooms on new growth, which I dare say probably 99% of your roses are going to bloom on new growth, you need to prune them before they flush out with new growth. If it blooms on old growth, those rare roses that bloom on old growth, you will prune them after they finish blooming if you need to. If you don't need to, just leave it alone. Very similar to like a hydrangea, right? Hydrangeas that bloom on new growth versus old growth. She's so mature, and I've done this so many times now. I am going to be rough. I am going to be extremely, like, you know, I am going after it. I am attacking this rose because there is massive canes shooting up. The deal with your climbing roses is that you want to leave those main canes, those are your leaders that have the most support, right? That there's a nice big ones. From there, we're going to prune all of the little side shoots because a climbing rose does get really tall and sends off lots of side shoots. It is not like a vine, say like a honeysuckle or something that like winds and twists around your structure. You have to attach it to the structure, but you're going to have tons of shoots coming off of those. We're going to trim the shoots coming off and the thin, smaller canes. My big, nice big ones that go up and arch over and crisscross, I am leaving those. I am just going to be pruning off all the side shoots. The ones that are super tall and sticking up in the air, those are side shoots. Those are not going to be those main canes. So when I finish, it is going to be nice and neat and tight and just really strong in here on the arch. I'm just going to grab my ladder and go for it. Now, I do have some solar lights that are twisted around here. Depends on how it goes. I may take them off as I prune and then put them back on. I just don't really know. We'll see if they're in the way or not. But yeah, we're just gonna go for it. I'm gonna really thin it out, be really, really severe in my pruning because it can handle it. It does massive, gorgeous, really soft baby doll pink flowers on it that have that classic old rose scent. I adore this rose, and so I know that I can prune it nice and hard, and it will give me loads of beautiful flowers in the late spring and then kind of throughout the summer. So if you're one of those sweet guests that will be coming to the Creekside Signature Experience, hopefully she won't be in full bloom at the end of June, but hopefully we'll be able to have a couple of flowers on there so that you get to see how gorgeous she is in person and take a nice little whiff of that classic rose scent. So I'm just going to get everything kind of set up. I am a messy gardener in this aspect. I'm just going to trim and let things fall where they may. I've got Johnny beside of me. When I'm done, then I will clean up. But things are about to get messy, and we're going to have rose canes everywhere. All right, my friends, so the generous gardener, she has been pruned, and oh my gosh, y'all, this is a thing that can be very intimidating and overwhelming just because there are so many main canes and then you have to cut off all the side shoots. I'm going to try to show you. It's easier to show it to you after it's done than while you're doing it because it can just be so intricate. The best way that I can tell you to do it is to start at the bottom, because then it's going to be very obvious what your main canes are, and then just follow that one cane up as far as you can and prune your side shoots. You're going to prune them back to a couple of inches, and then you're just gonna have to work in pieces. So I literally like started on one side and then came over here, then went over there, then went, like, you're just gonna hop all over the place, and you're gonna return to that same place a couple of times. So again, there is grace in gardening and there is grace in pruning your roses, and you're gonna find some canes after you're done that you're like, oh yeah, I should take that out. And maybe I should thin out more of the main canes. You know, time will tell. Still some absolutely stunning flowers are going to be covering this. But like I have one cane that starts at the bottom over here and comes up and is halfway down the other side of this arbor. Maybe I should have only done one, you know, generous gardener, but you know, go big or go home. So I definitely went big, and Jackson was here and I was like, oh my gosh. And he was like, I know it's hard now, Mama, but it's going to be great in the summertime. And that is absolutely correct. So you can come back and you can tweak it. You can fix it. I have got quite a mess. But I need to go up and help Jerry and the crew at production to get some of those annuals, that 21,000 plus annuals that came. We've got to get them potted up. I will come back and make sure that my lights are more secure. And then for the temporarily, I just use my little clippies to hold everybody down. I don't like the way that looks long term. And then of course, when it flushes out with the foliage, it'll hide it. But I can come back with some little jute twine rather, and tie that down. But just get out there and prune your roses, right? You know, just trim them back, and you're going to be rewarded with some beautiful flowers. All right, my friends, we'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.